Novice lifters are a unique group that benefit the most from bodyweight training. Allow me to share some real examples and talk about my own personal experiences. First thing I'll say is that if you're weak, you're weak. Beginner strength is not that impressive. You might be a little bit far off from empty bar or somewhere in the low 100s if we're talking about pounds. But overall, general strength is not there, work capacity is not there. That's why there are many trainers who actually recommend that you begin with bodyweight training for a month before moving on to weights. So if you're in this situation, recognize that calisthenics are still going to be challenging. Heck, it can be tough for advanced lifters who are using the right variations, but the difference is that you're more sensitive to a lower volume approach in addition to basic variations. How many first-year lifters do you know that can rep out 10 pull-ups? Your starting point might be 1 to 3. So in that way, you're beginning with classic movements that develop all the major muscle groups. They're all compounds for the most part, and you're building that base strength, which will give you a higher base point when you start lifting. Instead of starting at, say, 65 pounds on the bench, you might be at 135, which means what? You're that much closer to hitting the intermediate stage. But I would argue that you'll get there with fewer plateaus because of the increased work capacity. This is exactly why those who have an athletic background in whatever sport it may be, when they start doing bodybuilding or strength training or whatever, they see a bit better gains than those who were completely sedentary because there's that work capacity that needs to be developed. It's also one of the reasons why advanced lifters struggle. They don't have the necessary work capacity to keep progressing. So if you develop that earlier on, the better off you're going to be. And in my personal experience of doing calisthenics, I can tell you that when I started lifting, my gains blew up very, very, very fast. Definitely quicker than the average lifter. Not because of genetics, but because I had invested all my time into bodyweight training, actually trying to master my body. I'm not telling you to master, but get good at the basics. Put it like this, if you know how to do a push-up, you know how to bench. And one of the greatest things too is that you're eliminating ego lifting right off the bat. You're not stressing about the numbers. You're not stressing about impressing other people. In fact, most guys who do calisthenics are training at home or at a local park where there's not many other people or there's other beginners there too. So the environment is a little bit different. I would argue that the community is different as well. So here's what's going to happen. You'll likely get bigger, stronger, and leaner at the same time, while yielding tremendous carryover to weight training. If your bench press was 135 already, like before all this stuff started happening, it might jump up to 155, 165. In fact, there are people who never did any weight training whatsoever, and their benches in the high 200s, sometimes in the 300s, but usually those individuals got to very advanced variations. So it's not going to happen for everybody. Like before I started lifting, I did only calisthenics, and I weighed in at 143 pounds, pretty ripped, and had a decent amount of muscle mass. It was the foundation that had been established from all those repetitions, all the progressions, all the variations that led me to developing amazing base strength and work capacity. That's why I was able to handle high volume workouts right off the bat and have no recovery issues whatsoever. That's why my bench press was over 135 the moment I started lifting, because I was doing lots of push-ups. My pull-up, I believe I could have done 45 pounds weighted right off the bat because I was just doing body weight for high repetitions. I was already able to do muscle-ups. So there was that base. Not strong by any standards, but definitely above average. And that's what I'm trying to stress in today's video. You'll be far ahead of the average novice lifter while setting the foundation that'll benefit you for the rest of your training career. To this day, I can still do calisthenics moves, and that's because of the base. And I actually talked about this a long time ago in my video, Don't Skip Calisthenics. You need to watch that segment. And it's not just me. Over the last few months, I've had many people tell me that forcing themselves to do calisthenics was a major blessing in disguise because they actually improved in certain respects. They got more stable, leaner, bigger, and whatever they were at right now, they've exceeded. I had one guy tell me, and this is just a simple example, 215 bench to 225. From what? Basic push-ups. Not even the advanced variations. I've had people who are late novices, even intermediates, who tell me that the 30 down workouts are absolutely punishing, actually too difficult to handle. So if we know that it's possible to get a great workout from those types of segments, imagine what a real beginner can do with legit the basics. Heck, what if you took the bodyweight training to an even higher level? How good would you be at lifting then? I'd argue your performance would be out of this world. Imagine if you could master gymnastic rings, doing deficit freestanding handstand push-ups. You don't think that's going to build a sick physique? 30 down dips? What about 30 down pull-ups? You'd have to be a freak of nature to pull that off. So that's it. I don't want to talk about this too long, but for all my novice lifters out there, you shouldn't be stressing whatsoever. That's the last thing that I would do. I think that if you actually perform challenging bodyweight workouts that are appropriate for your experience and you sleep and eat correctly as you would do in weight training, that improvements will be made. So next time you go into the gym, it's like you just got rid of the chains that were holding you back. Now you're ready for an accelerated journey. Take those lessons that you learned from bodyweight training and apply it to your weights and use them for accessory work. You can be that guy who's good at the bench press and weighted dips. You can be the guy who has a sick deadlift and a sick weighted pull-up. Not just excelling at one thing, being a specialist. Nothing wrong with that too. I made videos on specializing training before, but I like the concept of general strength, general performance, just being this healthy, badass guy that can do it all. So that's it. Hope this motivated you. Give me feedback in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time.